What is up, guys? We're back. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Marshana Dahlia Spavento. This is part two, 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way. The couples have told all with Sean Robinson aired last night. So let's talk about Kenny and Armando. So they were on the tell-all last night, and we found out that the obstacle of getting married was not the only obstacle they're going to have to go through, because now that Armando wants to have a actual baby with Kenny, we have found that Kenny's children, who are grown, do not accept or support their father having another child. They do support, hold on, I want to get this worded right. They do support it if they were to adopt an older child. They don't support it if they actually have a baby, because that's starting over and that's abandoning them. And I know you don't agree with that, because you feel like at their age, you cannot abandon them because they've already been raised and one of them is already about to have a child. Which brings me to another point. Kenny is not allowed to have a child, but his children are allowed to have children, and he doesn't get to have a say in that. So it's kind of hypocritical, because they're telling. Go ahead.
I need someone to make it make sense, because it's like you say, like Kenny. I mean, your children are grown; they're adults. They're children with children. You already have one grandchild. You're going to have another one. Why do they care if you still reproduce? Why do they care? Why do they care? I could understand if they grew up in a family where they had a mom and had a dad, which we know they didn't, because you
Right.
know. So, and mommy maybe passed away or something, and you feel like daddy's just moving on really quickly with, like, let's say, another woman and having another baby with another woman. That to me I could understand, because you would almost feel like it's a betrayal of your mother. But they don't have a mom in that sense. They've always had Kenny. They're gonna still have Kenny even though he doesn't live in the same country. And if he moves on, he did move on. He got married. He left the country. He has said, "Listen, these are my latter days on this world. I'm almost 60. Even if I live to be 70, 80, I'm living with the rest of the life I have left." Let that man do that. Let that man do that. Like,
I
what
feel
is the
like
problem?
I feel like he's earned it. He was a great father. He's a great grandfather. He was there for his kids. Not one of those children said that he wasn't a good father to them. So to say that he doesn't deserve to have this time and do the things that he wants to do now that his kids are grown and doing the things that they want to do, it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair that they had him as a father. They got a great father. They got married. They're living their lives, and they just want him to kind of be waiting in the wings. Whenever they need him, he needs to be available whenever they need him. That's not fair. You don't
They're
own
adults.
your parents.
No, they're adults. They have to do better.
Yes, I agree. They have to do better. They have to let him be happy. So let's talk about Ariella. So I've said this all along. Her master plan was to get Biniam in America to live in the States. There is no way that she ever planned to live in Ethiopia for the rest of her life, or any for the long term, any of that. That was never a plan. So now he is here on a K1 visa. They are going to be getting married as well. This is the second K1 visa surprise of the night that we got last night. And it's not a surprise to me at all. I knew for a fact that she had this plan up her sleeve all along. And I believe that Biniam has been in on the plan as well. I know you disagree, but I
I
do.
just
I just believe it. And I do. And I feel like Mimi and Wish knew about this the whole time. And that's why they've been so anti Ariella, because they knew in the end that this baby that her brother had was also going to be leaving, and they were not going to have a relationship with this baby. And I feel like that's why that animosity started so early on.
Oh no. I mean, I don't think Biniam was in on the gig, but I think you bring up a good point that maybe Wish and Mimi kind of like knew what the deal was. And also, in hindsight, if Benny were clever enough to figure it out, coming to the United States, which is where his ex-wife and his other child are, it
Yes.
would bring him closer to them, and ignite some possibility of reconciliation, or even being able to see that child. So quite possibly that may have been it. And if that's that case, so be it. But I agree with you. Ariella knew this all along, and she does these things to manipulate Biniam, and that's a really sad thing. So she really wants him away from his family, so that way Benny has
Absolutely.
no other source of influence or refuge, and that she and her family would always be there to monitor him.
Mhm.
Create a nice prison ward for him in Princeton, New Jersey. And Benny, blink twice if you need help. Um, So I just feel like it's more manipulation and control. It's not bringing him to the United States for a better future for their son or even for Benny himself.
No.
It just goes to feed her ego and her need for absolute control over him.
She made it clear last night she doesn't ever want to speak to his family or sisters again. And that's exactly how, and she said to him, she's like, they're not my family. I don't want them as a part of our lives. And that just shows she wants him to have nothing to do with his family, his roots, his country. And that's sad because that's her son's family, whether you accept him or not.
But if you, I mean, it's a sign of abuse, right? When people try
Right.
to isolate the person, it's another form of abuse. So
Speaking of abuse, let's just move right on into Steven and Alina last night. So Steven starts off the tell-all by telling us that he's been messaging 9 girls and inappropriately getting photos and encouraging the behavior. And then he tells us that he's blaming this behavior on the fact that he's repressing his feelings of having a threesome and Alina won't give him that. So this is why he's acting out. So he's actually blaming Alina for the way that he's acting because she won't give him the sexual perversions that he is asking for.
listen, there is nothing wrong or sexually perverse, I think, with a threesome between three consenting adults. You do that
Yeah.
any which way you want, have at it. When you have to convince any one of those three adults to participate, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. That is the issue. I don't think there's anything wrong with Steven wanting to have a threesome. I want to be clear about that. There is something wrong with saying that we cannot have premarital sex, Alina, if we are not married. Then you marry Alina, and somehow you think that now because you're married to Alina, that marital blessing of finally being able to have sex according to the religion that he's in now applies to all the other women. No, when it said wait until you're married to have sex, it meant to have sex with your wife, not to have sex with your wife and someone else. It doesn't extend that way. I need to know where Alina's mother was for this recording because she was attending virtually. Her mother could have as well. This is absolutely gut wrenching and humiliating. Steven looked like the biggest complete idiot, loser, manipulative, cheater. I don't even know. 9 girls? Can we check the records? Somebody
Yeah.
post me the screenshots. How are you getting this from girls? And but to Kenny's point, Kenny said, "Hey, I told you I had dinner with you guys, and I told you all that this would happen." Kenny said that even he has received naked pictures from women. Women, y'all don't know that Kenny is gay. He's married to Armando. Like, I don't know what it's going to take. Vanessa came and pleaded, trying to find that part of Alina that has the ability to logicize and reason, and it just wasn't there. I'm married. I just can't walk away. Yes, you can. Your husband doesn't want to be with you. Here's the thing, and I know I'm going on too long, and I'm going to end it with this. Steven, you have a clear high sex drive, right? You
Mm-hmm.
want to experiment sexually. I can understand that because people who grow up in the church who are given such negative imagery and messaging about sex can, it could lash out in where you finally feel like I want to explore. Single is an option. Be a part of hookup culture. It exists. And we can sit here and say, oh, hookup culture is not good or anything. But what's not good is trying to be married and in a committed monogamous marriage that you are not cut out for, at least not at this juncture in his life.
He is not ready. You're 100% right. He didn't sow his wild oats. That's the ongoing issue that we see with Steven. He rushed into a marriage and he's not ready to marry because he's not done doing the wild things that he's wanting to do. And that's just what he shows. He showed all last night. All that he wants to do is things with everyone. Every woman that approaches him, sends him a message, he's open to that. And marrying someone was the wrong thing for him. I'm not saying that it was the wrong thing for him to do, period. But at this point in his life, like you said, he's not ready to be in a relationship. And Alina, I unfortunately had to wash my hands of you last night. You are enabling Steven's behavior. You have every ounce of proof and evidence and every reason that you would need to make an informed decision, and you have rejected it. You have said that I know he's cheating. I've seen screenshots. I know that he's doing this. I know that it's humiliating. I know I'm embarrassed, but I don't care. So I can no longer care either. This is what you wanted. And it's almost as though you enjoy being mistreated. And if you do, I pray that you find the peace and self-worth and self-love that you need to come out of this relationship, because you don't respect yourself and you don't understand what you deserve if you feel like this is the way you should be treated.
Yeah, I mean the shame and humiliation that I felt by proxy, like the secondhand embarrassment, was just really real last night, and it's just so tragic. So let's just call the therapist. I know a really good one. Let's just call the therapist and bring him in.
Yes. And I want her to get therapy on her own. I don't want anyone in the room to manipulate her or to try to make her feel at fault. I want her to just be with her thoughts, be with herself, see what's in her mind, and understand what's going on, because the behavior that's happening to her, she's accepting and she's enabling. And I just wish that she could see that. All right,
Yeah.
guys, that's it. That's it. That was it. It's wrapped. 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, season 3 has wrapped. It is done. What did you guys think? Comment below. Did you think everyone was going to stay together? Is the way that it ended, how did you predict it differently? I think that's what I want to hear from you guys, because I predicted a lot. I knew that Ariella and Benny were going to end up in the U.S. I did not predict that Jenny and Submit were going to be married. And I know I didn't predict that they were going to keep it from his parents for this long, because that was literally the only reason why they didn't get married, was because they thought they wouldn't accept it, and they still don't even know. So tell me exactly how you guys predicted the season to end, and make sure that you are joining me and my co-host Marshana Dahlia next week. 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days is premiering with all new couples, and we will be live tweeting, and I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for joining us and supporting the podcast, and I'll talk to you guys really soon.